People often ask this question in a whisper, sometimes with curiosity, sometimes with confusion, and sometimes with pain. What is the psychology of women who have multiple relationships? But the real question underneath is rarely about women. It's about connection, about attachment, about what happens inside a human being when love doesn't feel safe, simple, or complete. Let's slow this down, because human behavior is never random, and it's never as shallow as society pretends it is. A woman who has had multiple relationships is not automatically chasing pleasure. More often, she is responding to something unseen. Sometimes it starts with emotional hunger, not attention in the shallow sense, but the deep human need to be seen, chosen, and understood. When one relationship gives affection but not understanding, another gives excitement but not safety, and another gives companionship but not depth, the mind begins to separate love into pieces, and unconsciously she starts collecting what feels missing. This isn't strategy, it's survival. Psychology calls this attachment behavior. Some women grow up learning that love is inconsistent, warm one day, distant the next. So the nervous system adapts. If I don't rely on one person, I can't be abandoned by one person. This is how anxious attachment is formed, seeking reassurance from more than one emotional source. Others develop the opposite pattern. They crave connection but fear dependence. So when intimacy gets deep, they pull away. Not because they don't feel, but because they feel too much. This is avoidant attachment. Multiple relationships become a way to stay close without being fully vulnerable. And then there are women who are simply self-aware and autonomous. They don't confuse exclusivity with love. They don't see relationships as ownership. They value honesty, freedom, and emotional clarity. For them, multiple relationships aren't a wound, they're a conscious choice. The problem is, society rarely separates these categories, so everyone gets labeled, flattened, misunderstood. Another layer we rarely talk about is past emotional injury. Betrayal changes the brain, neglect reshapes expectations. Being controlled teaches the nervous system to escape before it's trapped again. After that, committing deeply can feel dangerous. Multiple relationships become emotional insurance, not manipulation, protection. And then there's novelty chemistry. Some brains are wired for intensity, dopamine spikes, curiosity, newness. These people, men and women, don't get addicted to people, they get addicted to feelings. When the excitement fades, they don't feel love is gone, they feel alive is gone. Again, not a moral failure, a neurological one. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The real issue is not the number of relationships, it's the level of honesty, self-awareness, and emotional responsibility. A woman who communicates clearly, respects boundaries, and understands her own needs is emotionally healthier than someone who stays loyal while lying to themselves or others. Depth is not measured by duration. Love is not proven by sacrifice alone. And commitment without emotional safety is not virtue, it's fear. So before judging behavior, psychology asks a better question. What need is being expressed here? Because every relationship pattern is a language, and every pattern tells a story. If you listen carefully, you don't hear promiscuity. You hear attachment, protection, longing, and growth. Human behavior makes sense once you stop moralizing it and start understanding it. And that's where real emotional intelligence begins.